I spent $1,500 on this LEGO Star Wars minifigure lot containing some of the rarest minifigures ever made. We will be going through every minifigure in this lot one by one to see if it was worth it or a complete waste. And if you guys want to see more crazy LEGO minifigure unboxings, make sure you guys drop a like, comment, and subscribe. This is actually the most expensive lot that I've purchased to date, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it with the Pearl Sand Blue Super Battle Droid. And there are actually two of them in this lot. These were the first Super Battle Droids ever made, appearing in the original Gunship set of 2002. If you are unaware of these minifigures, they are so prone to breaking. It's actually insane that one of these is in perfect condition. Unfortunately, one of them has a chipped hand, which is all too common with these Super Battle Droids. I mean, after all, they came in the same set as Jedi Bob, who just demolishes droids. Unfortunately, Jedi Bob is not actually in this lot, but these Pearl Sand Blue Super Battle Droids go for around $60. You definitely don't come across two of those too often. Next up, we have another classic minifigure, Light Up Mace Windu. And not only does the lightsaber still work, it is shining perfectly bright as if it's brand new. I almost want to swap this one out with the one in my personal collection. This one is near mint condition. Next up, we have not one but two Kit Fisto minifigures. And I'm not sure why, but the one on the right here doesn't appear to be wearing any pants. Our one on the left is in very good condition, while the one on the right has some fading. They're worth about $30 and $20 a piece. Next up, we have a Clone Wars style Aayla Secura. This one appeared in one set in 2010, the Clone Turbo Tank. This one unfortunately has the wrong legs. They should be the same dark brown that we see on the rest of Aayla. Next up, we have another light up minifigure, Anakin Skywalker. Just like the light up Mace Windu that we saw earlier, the light bulb in this one has an almost brand new battery still, and the minifigure itself is in very good condition. The light up Anakin only ever appeared in one set in 2005, and in this condition sells for around $70. Next up, we have Anakin's Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. This is the Clone Wars version. The legs should actually have a brown hip piece, not the gray one that we see here. This minifigure appeared in 6 sets and nowadays goes for around $12. Next up, we have a 10 Num minifigure. This one appeared in the B-Wing set of 2014. And I just love the red jumpsuit on this minifigure. It is such a nice color. This guy is pretty obscure and gets mistaken for 9 Nub all the time, but he's worth about $18 nowadays. Next up, we have the shoulder pad piece to the Rebels Grand Inquisitor. This piece by itself will sell for around $15. Next up, we have another individual piece, but this one does count as a minifigure. We have the original Sebulba. This was actually one of the first LEGO Star Wars minifigures ever made, appearing in the Mos Espa Padre set of 1999. Next up, we have one that you all know and love. We have a Phase 1 clone Captain Rex. Some of the minifigures are not complete in this lot, so it's great to see a fully complete Phase 1 Rex. This one is probably worth over $80. Next up, we have one of my favorite droid minifigures of all time, Ned B, the loader droid from the Kenobi show. He only ever appeared in one set, the gray base plate with spare parts set. But in all seriousness, there was actually a decent minifigure selection in that set. I love Ned B, and he's going for around $9 nowadays. Next up, we have 1.5 Pong Krells. One of them is fully complete, and the other is just the top torso headpiece. For those of you that are unaware, Pong Krell is essentially your standard minifigure, but he has 2 arms built into the headpiece that go on top of that. This piece is very similar to how the original Chewbacca and Ewoks were built. And Pong Krell better watch out because there was a Captain Rex that we just showed in this lot. Next up in the lot, we have another Sebulba minifigure. This is the more modern version, though. This one appeared in 2 sets from 2010 to 2011, and nowadays only goes for around $7. It's probably just a nostalgia factor, but I really like the original mold of the first Sebulba, but I do like the articulation that we get on this one. And fun fact, the original Sebulba only takes up 2 studs, while the newer style one has the spacing of 3 studs. This is my first time getting them both side by side, so let me know which one you guys prefer down below. We've still got tons more great complete minifigures, but we also have some pretty expensive parts. This is a Phase 1 Wolfpack torso here. Sadly, we don't have the legs or helmet for this guy. We also have another Phase 1 Captain Rex helmet only in this lot. There is no other headpiece, which is unfortunate because we would have been able to make 2 Captain Rexes. The helmet by itself is probably worth over $40, which is still pretty good. Next up, we have a Watto. This one has tan hands, meaning it appeared in the 2015 Sith Infiltrator set. And surprisingly, this one goes for around $30. $30. Next up, we have parts to the Chrome Stormtrooper. Here we have the helmet and torso. There are no legs in this lot, unfortunately. When these guys are loose in someone's collection, they usually tend to scratch and fade very easily. But this one is actually in very good condition still. It has very minimal scratching, and the printing is near perfect. These parts are worth about $45, and I will definitely be looking to pick up a set of legs to complete it. Next up, we have a Zam Wessel minifigure. This one only ever appeared in one set in 2002, Bounty Hunter's Pursuit. When Zam is complete, she's worth about $60, but we don't have her helmet or goggles in this lot, so she's only worth about $50. Next up, we have a pretty obscure minifigure. We have the Kessel Mine Worker. This one only ever appeared in one polybag in 2018. It's only worth about $16, but I really like the yellow and red contrasting on the front there. It looks really nice. Next up, we have an Admiral Akbar minifigure, and this one is from the Resistance Troop Transport set of 2016 from episode 7. Nowadays, he's worth about $14, but next up, we have a pretty expensive minifigure, Pre-Vizsla. He only ever appeared in Pre-Vizsla's Starfighter of 2012, and nowadays goes for over $120. And he is just a beautiful minifigure. He has one of the best cloth pieces in LEGO Star Wars history. Next up, we have some more Clone Wars era minifigures. We have the Anakin Skywalker as well as Cad Bane from that period. He was so elusive in the show. I don't think they've ever gotten this close. Next up, we have the original Phase 1 Clone Trooper appearing in the ATTE as well as the gunship that we mentioned earlier. And there's just something about the classics. I just love the way that these two look next to each other. And I would be way more excited about a Commander Wolf in a lot, but sadly this one is incomplete like the P1 Wolfpack clone we mentioned earlier. There's definitely still some value in these parts though, so it's not a complete loss. Next up, we have a Cara Dune minifigure from The Mandalorian. She appeared in 2 sets and only goes for around $5. Next up, we have the Gray Squadron pilot Horton Som from the B-Wing we mentioned earlier, and this guy is actually worth about $22 nowadays. Next up, we have the Rebels Sabine. This one appeared in 2 sets in 2015 and nowadays goes for around $27. Sadly, we do not have her helmet in this lot. That would have been a huge score. Next up, we have Taun We, the Kaminoan minifigure from the Obi-Wan Kenobi Starfighter. And there are some clone troopers in this lot, obviously. She would be very proud to see how much they've grown up. Next up, we've got some more incomplete figures here. We have the rest of Captain Rex besides the head. We have a Boba Fett rocket pack and a Bausch helmet. These pieces individually sell for about $20 a piece. Next up, we have 2 Asajj Ventresses. This is the black torso version appearing in the 2011 Sith Nightspeeder set. The one on the right has the wrong legs, but this minifigure only sells for about $6 or $7 when it's complete. Next up, we have a Boba Fett minifigure. This one appeared in the 3rd edition Slave 1 from 2010. He's only worth about $16. And we might as well move right into his father. Next up, we have Jango Fett. This one has a little bit of scratching on the front of the helmet, and who knows how that could have gotten there. This is the smiling Jango Fett from the 2013 Corporate Alliance tank droid. It usually sells for around $50, but we are missing the jetpack. And there's also that damage to the front of the helmet there. Next up, we have 2 Obi-Wan Kenobis. The one on the left appeared in the 2005 General Grievous Chase, and the younger one appeared in the Duel on Naboo of 2017. And if Obi-Wan Kenobi could go back in time and tell his younger self one thing, what do you think that would be?
Hello there.
Next up, we have the Clone Wars Count Dooku. This one appeared in 3 sets and goes for around $20 nowadays. Count Dooku is one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, and this lot has a nice bit of separatists in it so far. Next up, we have a duplicate of that 2010 Boba Fett, and we also have another Sabine, but this one doesn't have the hairpiece. Next up, we have Zuckuss, who only ever appeared in the 20th anniversary Slave 1 and goes for around $44. Next up, we have another Watto, but this one is actually different than the one we saw before. This one has gray hands and appeared in 1 set in 2011. And I'm not sure which one claimed ownership over Anakin. They're just gonna have to fight it out. Next up, we have an Agent Kallus. This one appeared in the 2015 Imperial Assault Carrier and goes for around $26. Let's get these extra accessories out of the way. We actually have a Darksaber that will go very nicely with Pre-Vizsla. There's also a Phase 1 Clone Commander Cody helmet in this. We've actually gotten a pretty good amount of miscellaneous helmets. There's also an Inquisitor lightsaber as well as a blue lightsaber that will be perfect for Kenobi when he runs up on Zam later. And the reason that this lot was $1,500, we are moving into some of the most most expensive minifigures in LEGO Star Wars history. We have Lando Calrissian from the original Cloud City set, fully complete and honestly in amazing condition. I have always wanted this minifigure. I love the light blue shirt as well as the cape. It was honestly ahead of its time. It is really hard to find this minifigure for a decent price. The Bricklink average used right now is $285. I will be keeping this one, but if I were ever to sell it, I think it would definitely sell for more than that. And there are not many minifigures out there that are more exciting than Cloud City Lando, but here we are. We have a Cloud City Boba Fett torso, and this one is in really good condition. The printing on this one is very crisp, which is great to see on a Cloud City Boba. At the time of this video, there are only 4 torsos on Bricklink, and the cheapest one is $1,000. I definitely wanted Lando, and I thought for $1,500, this was a really good deal for all of the items included. I'll probably end up selling everything besides the Cloud City stuff, and I'll use that money to offset the cost and make this an even better deal. And I guess I'm in the market for a pair of $600 legs.